Hey guys, it's the Doc, and we are wrapping up another amazing week here, and these are my thoughts of the week. Well, these are actually my thoughts of a week and a half. Last weekend I was traveling and didn't have a chance to record one of these, so here goes. So last weekend I had the privilege of going on a golf trip with some of my closest buddies. This is a trip that we go on every year. Obviously last year we couldn't go on the trip because of the circumstances of the world, but this year was the 11th year that we went on a golf trip together to Scottsdale, Arizona, and it was amazing. It was amazing being together. We had some great rounds of golf, some amazing laughs, and it was just awesome. But there was a little bit of a hiccup when we were heading out to Scottsdale. So originally my flight was supposed to leave on Wednesday night. I saw patients in my New York City office on Wednesday. I went to the airport after seeing patients, and I had the last flight out, a Delta flight out of JFK Airport in New York, headed to Scottsdale at 8 p.m. Got on the plane, everything was great. We pulled away from the gate, we're taxiing out to the runway, and then the plane just stopped on the tarmac. We were just hanging out there for a while, and the pilot got on the horn and he told us there were some weather issues in the Midwest which would require us to divert our flight path. But because of that diversion, our flight would actually be longer than originally intended, and that would put the pilots over their allowable flight time. There's rules and regulations. Pilots are only allowed to fly a certain number of hours a day, and that put them in jeopardy of going over their allotted time. And they said they were working hard on a solution, perhaps rerouting the flight, and just asked us all to be patient. Everyone was just patiently waiting. The stewardesses and stewards were very, very kind and accommodating to us while we were waiting. And the pilot, maybe an hour or so passed, the pilot got back on and said, well, the plan is we're going to fly to Detroit, and in Detroit we'll switch pilots, and the new pilots will take you on to Scottsdale. So, that would mean instead of getting to Scottsdale at 10 o'clock on Wednesday night, we get there at 2 o'clock in the morning on Thursday morning. But it's fine, we get to Scottsdale in time enough to enjoy Thursday and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the rest of the weekend. And the bulk of us on the flight were fine with that. We all just wanted to get to Scottsdale. But there were a few folks that didn't like that plan at all. And they kind of worked their way up towards the cockpit, were causing a little bit of a commotion, so much so that the pilot came out of the cockpit and was basically trying to reason with these folks. There was a guy from France and his girlfriend, and the guy from France just couldn't understand what was going on. He basically was like, in France, we fly in the rain, we fly in the wind, and he just was making a big stink. And the pilot was basically trying to explain that with the rules of the FAA, yada yada yada. There was another guy in one of those Grant Cardone 10X hats, and he was making a big stink and saying it was too hot in the plane, and him and his wife needed to get off. And Grant, if you're watching this, maybe you need to get your 10X hat back from this guy and give him a 5X hat until he's worthy of donning the 10X hat. But jokes aside, these four folks made a huge stink and ultimately required us to go back to the gate to deplane. And the pilot warned these guys, or these folks, that if we do go back to the gate, it's very unlikely that we'll be able to fly out tonight. And that's basically how things played out. By the time we got to the gate, it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and our flight got delayed until 11 o'clock the next morning, 11 o'clock on Thursday. So, we flew out Thursday, everything was fine, I had a great weekend. But it was actually something I've been thinking about since then, since that night. And there was at least, I would say, 120 people on this flight. And these four individuals represented the 3% maybe of the folks on this plane. 97% of us were just patiently waiting, just wanted to get to Scottsdale, and we're just going with the flow. And these 3% were making a big commotion and really exerting their will on the rest of us. Because of those four folks, we went back to the gate. Our flight got delayed until the next day. And it really had me thinking, there's times in life where things don't go as planned. Our flight got delayed, circumstances are out of everybody's control, and everyone's trying to do the best they can to get through the situation. And these folks didn't have the ability to step outside of themselves and join the other 97% of us and just go with the flow. Instead, they chose to exert their will on the rest of us. And the will of that very small minority basically affected all of us on that plane. So 97% of the people were affected by the will of 4 people. And it was unfortunate, and these things happen all the time. There's various examples of this in all of our lives where we've seen things like this happen. And it really just, my thoughts of the week really are, it's not about me, it's not about you, it's really about us. In situations like that, it's about the collective. It's about the greatest good for the greatest number. And it's important sometimes to step outside of yourself and take a step back and do what's best for the group. And those are my thoughts of the week. So with that, I hope all of you have a wonderful, restful weekend and are just ready to crush the week ahead. Let's get it.